Still sitting in a truck seat that's older than your favorite pair of work boots? Your back has been filing complaints for years. If your seat is worn out, sagging, or just plain uncomfortable, it's time for an upgrade. Head on over to seatspecialist.com. Check out their selection of quality replacement seats built to keep you comfortable mile after mile. And don't forget to use promo code TR10 4U to save 10% on your order. Seatspecialist.com, because a better ride starts with a better seat. Welcome back to another episode of That's Delivered. I'm your host, Trucking Ray, and today we have an incredible guest joining us, someone who isn't just a powerhouse in the trucking industry, but is also an advocate for the industry. She's the owner of Porch Dogs, a professional driver, a member of the FMCSA Women in Trucking Advisory Board, a passionate ambassador of the CMV drivers. You may have seen her on social media where she shares her videos of life on the road. And she's also doing some serious work with the Next Generation Trucking Association. I'm talking about no one other than KellyLynn McLaughlin. KellyLynn, welcome to the show. Let's get started from the beginning. KellyLynn, thank you so much for taking this time out to help others in the trucking industry get an idea of what it is that you do and how you've been helping others with all the many industries that expertise in the industry that you've been able to accomplish. So thank you so much. Was trucking always in the cards for you?
No, not at all. I got into it by accident, and literally I got talked into being a marching band logistics coordinator because somebody thought that I could, just be a jack of all trades. I don't even know how that happened, but it was really hard work. And the guy we would rent a tractor, and one of the band dads would drive this tractor around, and I was managing him and like 80 other volunteers and all of these trailers and, props and all that kind of jazz. And finally, and he said, nobody gets in my truck. And finally, after a year, I was like, dude, I'm kind of your boss, and I do want to ride in that truck. And then that was it. I took one ride and I was like, man, I wish I could do this. And probably like a lot of other people, I thought it was a man-only job. And he was kind of a man-only man kind of guy. But he said to me, he's like, you can do this. He's like, all you need to do is go get your license and then you can drive a truck. It wasn't that easy, but hearing that advice come out of his mouth it was life-changing, actually. And his name is Jason Myers, and I always tell his story.
I love it. That is a great story. Do you remember your first solo trip? Maybe
It was awful is what it was. I mean, I just wanted to stop, quit, cry, throw up. I was driving for Schneider, and I had a hard time even finding the trailer I was supposed to pick up. I was terrified going to the customer. I was afraid of going into the wrong entrance. I went into the wrong entrance, not even their entrance, somebody else's entrance. I was terrified of getting somewhere that I couldn't get turned around, and I was going to stuck and have to call for help. And in the end, I got there more than 15 minutes late, and they turned me away. So I had to call and say, I failed on my very first load.
Hey, those stories, I think, help everyone know that, hey, you're human, things happen. And then the signage for trucking, I mean, it's just not great at all. It's kind of horrible. You got those little signs down at the bottom down there, and they're not very accurate. So it's probably not just that stop that you did. It's probably more like that out there. So.
But luckily I'm one of those people that I don't like to end on a bad note, and I don't like to fail. And so I rarely give up.
Nice. I love it. That determination. I mean, you've been in the industry long enough. You've seen a little bit of everything. What was one of the wildest, most unforgettable experiences that you want to share over the road? Maybe you got something you remember there.
Well, sorry, I'm going to adjust my camera because things are sliding in my moving truck. But I think one of the craziest, like, I know you want like that really happened. So I was driving to Louisiana. I was driving in Louisiana to a Walmart facility. It was hazy. It had been raining. Like the drainage ditches on the sides of the road were all full of water. And it was just one of those go slow kind of days, right? And I was going slow, but I didn't have a lot of visibility. And up out of the haze showed up like this giant branch that was across the road. And I couldn't stop in those wet conditions very quickly, right? So I was like, well, I'm just going to go over it. I'm going to try and go slow. But it turned out that it actually wasn't a branch, it was an alligator. And I saw part of it flip up in the air so I could see its belly. And it was just one of the moments, like, you're like, did that really happen to me? Like, and it's already in the side mirror in the rear, and you're like, was that really an alligator?
Oh man.
Because it was like 6 feet long, right? So, but then after that, I saw a bunch of baby alligators along the road, so like clearly they were moving into a newly wet area. But I tell you what, when I got to the Walmart facility, I didn't want to get out because almost all the Walmarts have like a green area that they're supposed to leave available for wildlife or wetlands or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be anywhere near something that was wet.
Wow. What a cool story. I mean, man, tragedy does also help for the animals out there. I mean, they're always getting the brunt end of the trucking industry, and they do make a lot of interesting stories. Interesting stories for other people to watch out for. And thanks for sharing that, man. That's
My other like moment in trucking was, it was like the week after everything shut down in the United States during COVID. And I went from being one of, millions of vehicles on the road to being the only vehicle on the road for hours. Sometimes I never passed. And it was like, I tried to explain it to somebody. It was like aliens had sucked up all the humans. They were just gone. Their vehicles were gone. The people were gone. The movement was gone. The stores were closed. And yet there were a few of us that were still out here delivering toilet paper, whatever it was. People needed still, right?
Yeah.
But the beautiful thing about it was that it truly was peaceful. And I felt that safety on the road that you don't get with four-wheelers, the private person cars.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to worry about them doing erratic things or something unsafe, or I didn't have to worry about congestion. I made remarkable time to my customers. Of course, I wasn't allowed to come in and use the bathroom or wash my hands or any of that stuff. But it was the beautiful part, and all of the animals that previously had been, like staying away from the highway because of all the vehicles, they were back out. And so there were birds everywhere, and there were animals standing alongside the road. And that was, that's, I guess, what it would look like maybe if there were no humans. The animals would feel free to wander and take over again.
Yeah. You found that peace amongst tragedy or amongst, a lot of people's, fear. There's also, a lot of peace that comes with finding out that, there's other things to look at that you don't have to get caught up in the fear. So you found that peace while you're out there on the road. That's great. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Because, I was out there too, driving around. I had to deliver Coca-Cola. So everybody got to have that, and that sugar water. Yeah. So, man, that's great stories. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. When they told me that was essential, I was like, huh? I don't get it. But I guess it's essential. So I know trucking comes with a fair amount of challenges. What was there a moment where you thought about giving up, or you thought, hey, I've done enough of this. I want to do something else. What kept you going? Because I know you're still going.
Well, probably that desire never to end on a bad note, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm one of those people that just can't go to sleep at night if I didn't leave it right. And so that really keeps me going. I love the challenges with truck driving. I find a lot of other things really boring now. And driving a truck and all of the challenges and problem solving that come with it every day have really kept my brain active. They provide happy moments. And I do focus, because it can be hard. It can be lonely. It can be, hard on your mental health. It can be hard on you physically. It can be hard on your soul. And I try and find one happy moment every day. There's got to be something good in every day, even on the worst day. There's got to be a good thing.
Absolutely.
So, I started out in marching band, 350 kids and chaos and, a very specialized trailer with hoists and lifts and ramps and all that kind of jazz, completely out of my bailiwick. Then I moved I needed more training. So I went to Schneider. I did dry van. I became a trainer, was a trainer for years. And then I moved into specialized equine. So I did horses. I loved dealing with the horses. Super smart athletes were the types of horses like in and out of O'Hare, going to different shows, going, out in and out of quarantine, that kind of thing. And now I'm doing hazardous materials, and it's a completely different type of equipment than I ever thought I would be doing, which is the really long end dumps that lift like 40 feet in the air, single and double roll-off trailers with really icky stuff in them. And so just, the whole problem solving logistics of how do you get that up in the air and what kind of surface are you on and how is it loaded and what is the wind like? And then what's in it? Like, how do you have to put, what kind of PPE do you have to wear to deal with what's in it and the environment that's around you? I mean, that'll keep you on your toes for sure.
Yeah. That's no lie. That's the truth. Oh, wow. That's a great window that to what your day is like. I mean, even just getting the paperwork right. I mean, for a hazmat, the freight won't move if that's not done right. I mean, thanks for doing that. Thanks for your contribution.
See, everything keeps shifting over here because the truck motor's going. But the other thing is, it really provided some insight to me and what does the other side, I'd always worked on the animal or the delivery side, right, from the warehouse to the distribution center or to the vendor. But what does it look like on the back end of the manufacturing side? All of the hazardous products that we generate as a society, or when your doctor's taking off his rubber gloves and he's throwing it in the has-been, right? What happens to all that? Who handles it? And then even just when you change your oil in your vehicle, someone's recycling that oil, we hope, right? Where does that go? How does it get recycled? And what does it look like in its next life? And so that's been a real interesting journey too.
No, I love all that. Yeah, that's great. Man, so it looks like you're smiling and just having fun and having a blast with it all. I mean, that's a great example for a lot of people out there, not just in trucking, but also, the realities of trucking are real. I mean, there's nothing you can fake about it. And I was wondering what your advice would be for the next generation, because trucking isn't easy. And sometimes people want that easy money. There's definitely some hard days out there. What were some of the tough situations you could share with people and how you got through them? Those long hours maybe, or dealing with breakdowns or challenging deliveries. What would you say to them to keep pushing forward? I know you have that theory. It's a end on a good note. But
I really I have heartstrings for the next generation because I started when I was 50 All of my careers have been like in 10-year segments. And so I know that at 50, I'm at the end of my working career. I'm not at the beginning of it. And I've just learned so much that would have been really cool to know early on, even though I had some other really cool things. So I think one of the things that I would tell my students is I was like, don't be afraid of the word no. Like if you want to go do something, just don't, all you ask, because you never know. You might get a yes or maybe, or if then go to this, but just don't be afraid of the no, right? Because that holds you back internally. And I think that's one of our, especially for women, like we don't like to do anything until we know everything about it. Typically, not every woman's that way, but we like to be prepared and know that we can handle it. Like even when I went to CDL school, I told them, I'm like, I'm not paying you any money. And it was $5,000 to go to CDL school. I'm like, I'm not paying you any money until I know that I can do this double clutch thing that everybody keeps talking about. I'm like, I don't know what that is, but I know how to drive a standard, but I heard it's not the same thing. But until I know I can do that, I'm not paying you any money. And they actually put me with a trainer, put me in the yard and around until I could do the double clutch. And then I was like, okay, we're in. I could do this. And, like, I would say to other people, you don't have to do that. Just get in there and try it.
Right.
You don't have to make it. It's perfect.
That's great advocating for yourself. That was great. I mean, standing up and not letting them just take your money, and getting frustrated and being like, man, why did I do this in the first place? Now I'm out of that money. So yeah, you're a go-getter. I see it. Yeah, definitely.
Well, yeah, but I also don't like to fail, which is like, I'm not doing this if I'm going to fail. Right. So
right.
The other thing to kids I would say is like, there's 3.5 million drivers out here. There's a heap of companies and staff and industries that support this industry, that feed into it so that we can do our driver job. So that's a plethora of career opportunities for anybody, right? And there's something for every stage of whatever stage of life you're in, right? There's room to grow. Granted, there's fewer professional opportunities to stay in the driving seat. Most our professional career path usually takes us out of the seat, and I've worked really hard to stay in the seat and to fight for more opportunities for professional development for drivers in the seat, if that's where you want to stay. But you can come and you can go out of the seat, you can go do other things. There's a lot to learn about business. There's a lot to learn about manufacturing, cross-border trade, the law business, just the legal entities, and how does money move between all of these entities. There's just so much opportunity, so much opportunity. I wish people talked more about how many people actually work in this industry and what do those jobs look like. But there's a few places like that. Texas A&M, they have like a transportation institute that does that, and I know there's other universities out there that have logistics and transportation built into their curriculum.
Perfect. That's nicely said. I mean, that's a lot of the reason why I started a podcast. I tell people when they're coming into the industry that when you get your CDL, man, it's worth the value of $1 million. I don't know if $1 million has the same weight nowadays, but the value that you get from it, it's huge. It's not just an income, but the weight that it carries. I mean, the value if people understand, like you said, raw materials and what happens with it. But that CDL, that license has a value that will carry you through the rest of your life. Like you say, you can get out of the seat or you can get back in the seat. As long as that seat's there and you have rights to it legally, you did your part, you got your license, and then own it, right? Yeah.
Right. But you do have to stay clean and you have to stay safe.
Yeah, you don't have.
Unfortunately, the general public doesn't realize that about us, how clean and safe we are, and the high standards that we are held to.
Yep. Yeah. social drinking and all the social activities that other people get to have. I'm limited, and I don't want to jeopardize my income for my family and ability to be able to provide for my family. So I totally get what you're saying there. Yeah. So sacrifice. So, and you're involved in Next Generation Trucking Association. What was, with that particular association, you get to work with young people in the industry, and you said that they mean a lot to you, and your heart goes out to the next generation. What drew you to supporting that organization? Can you tell us about some of the current fundraising goals that you have set up, or maybe the start of education that's laid out for young ones as an option? Can you expand on that?
So somewhere along the line, I heard about this high school, Patterson High School in California, that had a truck driving diesel mechanic training track for the kids in high school. And you and I know that, like, from the time you're 18 to 21, those years, for many years, it wasn't available to go get your CDL unless you just wanted to drive in state. And that wasn't even an option that most people knew about. They just kind of thought you had to wait until you're 21 to be old enough to go to CDL school to become a truck driver. So we lost kids from the time they graduated from high school to from the time that they're 21 in this industry. And then all of a sudden, lo and behold, it's a bunch of old people out here, right? And I like working with young kids, and technology has been moving so fast. Just in the decade that I've been in here, the technology and the equipment and the science that goes into my tractor and my daily life has really evolved. And those young kids get it, and it's easy for them, right? And I just felt like I wanted to support that thought process. And I ran across a woman named Lindsay Trent, and she was starting this new nonprofit, Next Gen Trucking, and we were at conferences and we get to talking, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. That's something that I think about. I really support these kids, and she was talking about the curriculum from Patterson High School, which I'd heard about, and how to, like they were doing some studies and how to develop it and share it with other high schools. And it's been really amazing to see that organization grow over the years and become self-sufficient, right? They have enough donors and sponsors, and they've developed a curriculum to share. They are, right now, I was just recently, I became aware they're celebrating innovators in the industry that are providing opportunities for these young students, and really capitalizing on this back to the trades kind of thing that the United States has been missing for so long. And it's sad that people got into their thought process that trade work was for the kids that weren't smart and couldn't go to college. But that is so not true, because these kids, they have to learn business skills. They have to learn how to make the right decision when nobody's looking. There's so few mentors out there when you're out there on your own. Like, who are you going to look to get help, right? And it's just a complicated industry, and you're really held to a high standard. And it's a career, and you can build a business and you can hire other people, and it's
do really well for yourself, can you? Yeah, make a lot of money.
Yeah, and succeed and learn, and So anyway, so if the industry is going to survive, and it's going to survive well, we need this next generation of technology go-getter, independent thinkers that have a whole life ahead of them and can really think outside of the box and do even better things for this industry, I think. The young generation, they lead us forward.
Yeah, they do a good job, man, keeping us on our toes, don't they?
Well, and as parents, they definitely keep us on our toes.
Yeah,
I'm really challenged. They're like, they challenge my thought process and the way that I do things. and opened my eyes up to new ways of doing things. And
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. So now you're also a member of the FMCSA Women of Trucking Advisory Board. What does that board do? Why is it important for the trucking industry? Can you tell us or enlighten us as to what that's like for you as well?
So the Women of Trucking Advisory Board was created, its charter was created out of MSAC, the Motor Carrier Safety Advisory Committee, which is part of FMCSA, which is part of U.S. Department of Transportation. And they really, MSAC is this committee under FMCSA, they really saw a need for some leaders in the industry to give our government some ideas and some feedback and on what our best practices look like in the industry to be able to support women in the industry and bring more women into the industry, especially those that are in minority groups, like women of color, Native Americans, single mothers that are trying to get into the industry. And what does that look like to support somebody that has children at home still? And what does, a harassment-free training environment look like? And so we were tasked with, we met for a year and a half, and we were tasked with different topics. And there were 16 of us on this panel, and they were women that were from all scopes. And, we had African-American Women in Trucking Association founders, myself as a trainer and a carrier driver. We had owner-operators on it. We had women who owned trucking companies, women who worked for Native American groups, women that worked for Teamsters that dealt with truck drivers. So it was really a broad group of people. We didn't always agree. You might agree that, different perspectives, whether it be from, a trucking association and carrier versus a driver perspective, or an owner-operator perspective, it could really vary. But in the end, this group, Women of Trucking Advisory Board, was putting together recommendations for FMCSA to take to Congress to put into place and fund different recommendations to help women in the industry. And we spent a lot of time talking about safety. We spent a lot of time talking about how to afford the cost of coming into the industry and getting those skills. And also, just how to support minorities. How do you reach them? How do you support them? How do you, help them get into the industry if they want? Have mentorship, all that kind of thing. So as a result of that, I'm now on a peer review committee for FMCSA. When I was on WOTAP, there was a study that was done in 2022, I believe, about sexual harassment and assault in the industry. It was for every driver. And the thing that was interesting to me was that women did have a high rate of sexual assault, but men also had a high rate of assault, but it was more of the violent side, not sexual assault, right? Like physical encounters was something they had to deal with. But nobody in the group was happy with the survey. They felt like it didn't get to enough people. The respondents were very few, so it couldn't be a very good representative of drivers, 3.5 million as a whole. So one thing out of the WOTAP recommendations was for FMCSA to do another study. And so I'm on the peer review committee with that, with several other technicians. And it's a 4-year study. It's going to be much more comprehensive and really oversample for those groups that are hard to reach. So I'm optimistic that we're going to get better results on what is the working environment like for drivers, and then we can know how to approach some of the challenges, and we'll have real solid data to be able to talk about, what is sexual assault and harassment look like in our industry, and how can we approach those challenges. So, and that was a direct result out of OTAB.
That's great work. I mean, that's a lot of areas that it touches, not just in the work field, but also when those individuals are at home, making people feel safe. I mean, that's huge. So thank you for that work, and continue to do that. I think that's amazing. Those people need someone to advocate for them. They need to know what their rights are and be able to make that change for the industry to be better. Just because stress is at work doesn't mean we gotta just let it plummet. We can elevate each other and lift each other's work environment up to where it's something that we can enjoy. It's I see you smiling. I see you talking about your day. We want everyone to feel like that. I mean, that's a great feeling.
Yeah. Well, the words that you say, they kind of resonate with me. That's why I was smiling, because you want to go to work and you want to put eggs in your basket, right? And so what you were saying, I was like, oh yeah, that is kind of what I think. I want to be putting eggs in my basket, and I want people to be able to come into this industry and grow and feel good about themselves and about the job that they do.
Right back at you. I mean, great illustration with the eggs. Nowadays, it's hard to get those eggs in the basket.
Yeah, it's almost Easter.
Yeah. There you go. Oh, maybe egg prices might go up even more, huh?
Yeah, well, hey, I got chickens in my house.
What was that?
I was like, it used to be, I was telling somebody that, if you were a king and you were going to give a king a present, you'd give him a pineapple. But now it's eggs. If you want to give somebody something really valuable, you give them eggs.
Yeah, that's pretty. And decorate it too. Wow. I get it. That's awesome. Think about the education part of it. I mean, we want to also help people see if you could help those four-wheelers or passenger cars or what have you, the need for safety on the road, or the relationship that they have between cars and trucks. What are some of the common mistakes you see in passenger vehicles people need to know about? Let me give you a moment, give you the time that you can share some advice with individuals to say, hey, appreciate you out there, but here's a better way, maybe, What would you say?
Everybody knows, just you're not supposed to be on your phone and driving. I mean, they know that. They just don't.
You see that a lot?
They just don't. Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
didn't you? Don't you? Everybody does it.
Yeah.
Like cars, you see truckers doing it. It's you see people on their bicycle looking at their phone while they're riding a bike. I'm like, we just know that's not a recipe for success, right? But the other thing that just annoys the heck out of me is people who merge onto the highway without looking, without yielding. It's illegal. It's unsafe. And I just, I was like, I don't know why they think everybody else has to move for them if they're coming on to highway traffic. Right. It's just not even common sense. You're supposed
it's almost
to
like you get
look and merge in safely. Do it right.
They give you a half of a second, Yeah. It's like, there's a big truck there.
I can tell from my perspective if they're checking their mirrors, if they've looked, if they've slowed down. And I try and give people a little toot, hey, there's other people around you. And so many times they're like, oh, there's something back there. I'm yes, you're merging onto a highway. Yes, look, just look.
Wow. Yeah, it's funny, but not funny.
No, it's funny because it's so common sense, but they're just in their own little world, not paying any attention. So.
And they got a lot going on, but the road's not the place for it. That take a break from it, enjoy the drive. There's a lot to see. Like you said, when you were out there 2020 and you got to see the birds and you got to see all those wonderful things out there, that peaceful time that you found, and you're able to reconnect with the road and your truck. That's beautiful. I mean, that's what driving was meant to be, to get that independence, not to be on a train packed in with everybody else, but you're out there and you're in control of where you want to go. And, that was a lot of reason why people started driving, got in the cars, automobile, was it locomotives or something?
Yeah, and a lot of like I spend a lot of time around rail yards now because when I'm doing single and double, well, actually, most of my product comes to the facility on a rail car and then gets put on my trailer or into my end dump. So yeah, I spend a lot of time around railroads too. I mean, like we're all working together to move all of this stuff.
Yep. I'm gonna try to get a pilot on the show to talk about what that connection is like too, how trucks play a part with the airline industry. I mean, you got trains. I mean, it's a huge industry of logistics. That's how things get from A to B. There's so many moving parts, like you said, so many individuals behind the scenes. So that's why a lot of reason why I'm glad to have you on the podcast to share your story. It's definitely inspiration about the road ahead too. I mean, you think about that. You're involved in so many organizations and your efforts are not going unnoticed. What drives you to keep pushing for change? What's next for you? You any big projects or anything like that on the horizon now? Anything you want to share?
Well, I think hope is what keeps me going, right? Like that I can be part of the change and make this industry better. And then I have a daughter who just graduated from college with a commercial pilot degree. So she's also going into a transportation industry. When I was getting my CDL license, she was getting her driver's license. So we would have really interesting conversations about how to drive, what are the rules and stuff like this. And now we're having interesting conversations about, getting into an industry that's highly regulated and it's very technical and it's very safety oriented. What does that look like? What do you got to do to be prepared? And she is just now beginning. And so she's still like in the whole, like she's got her degree, she has her commercial pilot license. And so, but she needs to go build hours and find an employer to do that. How do you choose an employer that's going to, be a good fit for you? Right? Not every employer, not every job is a great fit for you. So anyway, it's just, there's always something new. That's what I think that's what keeps me going. And, I've got a daughter that's like coming up behind me in the career world in the transportation industry. And so, yeah, I'm not going to give up yet. I want it to be better for her and everybody else.
Great job, Mom. Man, that's huge. That's something to celebrate. Thank you for your contribution and also appreciate her work as well. Another woman at making changes in the industry. Like I said, if you can see it, you can believe it. So she saw herself in that pilot seat. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Awesome. Big ups to you guys.
Well, she just so you know, like she said, she wanted to be a stewardess. She wanted to travel, and her comment was, like, why a stewardess? Why a flight attendant? Why not be the pilot? Right? Shoot for the stars.
Wow, that's a really cool story. Yeah, maybe I can get more pilots on the show too. I mean, they deliver. I know
a couple of cargo pilots. If you want some connections.
Heck yeah. There's delivering people, delivering cargo. I mean, that's huge. And safety is paramount. Like you're bringing out there, how you need to have that goal when you're out there to keep going. Finish strong. Not have that feeling when you go home at night that I could have did better. So thank you. Great example.
What does our hours of service look like versus their hours of service versus a train engineer's hours of service?
That's a big difference. Isn't that a big difference? Did
Well,
she give you
it's
some
been
insight?
awesome talking to you too.
Yeah.
I think you
Oh,
should add a little next gen diecast truck in your background.
oh yeah. Heck yeah. Have to talk to Lindsay, huh? I might see her at Matt's.
Oh, I bet you will.
I'm gonna be going there this weekend.
Yeah,
So
this is
yeah.
the first year in 10 years I haven't been.
Oh wow. So this will be my
Sad.
first year. Actually, I've never been.
Oh,
So
it's awesome. I heard it's smaller this year than it has been in the past, just in its footprint size. But it is a great place to network, and be sure and go by and say hi to Nicole Ward from the African American Women in Trucking Association. Go by and say hi to the Women in Trucking booth. Lindsay Trent and
yeah.
Next Gen are usually right behind them. Yeah. So
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, I can't wait. So yeah, I'll go on your behalf. So
please do.
yeah. If our listeners you could leave a message, a piece of advice, a little morsel, or some piece of wisdom, whether you're in trucking or thinking about getting into industry, or just someone who shares a road with truckers, what would you say to them?
I would just say that there's lots of opportunity and an incredible journey in this industry. That don't be afraid. Just it's a great place to get involved.
I like that. Yeah, that's good because there's a lot of fear monger or people that want to get attention for social media likes or whatever, or attention because they stir up that fear. And they're like, man, trucking, that looks dangerous. You see those accidents, you're like, oh my goodness. You're like, I don't think I can do that. And they can. It's not like that. Yeah. So thank you. Especially for women also too. We need more women. We need more individuals. We're stronger when we're together. So I think the teamwork that we can push through and help everybody know that they're not alone in the industry or whatever you're doing in life. We can be there for each other. And I think that's a lot of reasons when I do my other show with my co-host, Matty G, we want to put out good energy, good positive energy, bring the attention to the industry, but yet at the same time, say, hey, there's a lot of good here. And we as humans have that stewardship that we can do of advocating for positivity. So great job. I think you're doing a great job. You get a trophy, triple crown for the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's a team effort. It takes everybody, and don't be a complainer, be a doer.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, KellyLynn, thank you so much for sharing your journey, your wisdom, and everything you're doing in the industry. We need more voices like yours to keep lifting each other's up in the trucking industry and shaping the future. To everyone that's listening, if you want to support Next Generation Trucking Association, you can help with reach out with their goal that they're looking for. I think it's $10,000 that they're looking to get donated. So every little bit helps. So put something in the pot there that also goes in a great place. Anything you want to say about the reaching the goal? Do you know any status or any updates? Where is that?
Well, I don't know where they're at with the goal, but I know March and November is when I always make my donations to Next Gen Trucking. And I just remember the Mid-America Truck Show. That's my time to donate to them. And then there's another big conference for women, Accelerate conference that Women in Trucking does in November. And that's my other donation time. So it's a great organization, and I put my money where my mouth is.
There you go. That's great. And I'm sure that you can follow KellyLynn on LinkedIn or any social media for any other things that she's going to be advocating for or anything new on the horizon. You can keep up with her on social media. So if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to That's Delivered and leave a review. We also, if you want to be on the show, we're open for having guests on and celebrating their victory and sharing their story. So we'll catch you next time. Until then, stay safe out there on the road and keep delivering.
Are you a trucker looking for a safe and reliable place to park? Look no further than Truck Parking Club. With locations across the country, we've got the perfect spot waiting for you, whether it's daily or long-term parking. And right now, use promo code DELIVERED at checkout for an exclusive discount. Reserve your spot today at truckparkingclub.com and drive stress-free, knowing your parking is covered.